Alright guys, now it's kind of been a little while since I've done a Yu-Gi-Oh video, and I figured I should upload one now. This is an explanation on some of the new rulings that are going to be coming to Yu-Gi-Oh from what I've been told and from some of the things that I've discovered. So, one of those things is a draw ruling that comes, there's currently one right now that's being used in OCG, but what it is the player who goes first doesn't get to draw on their starting draw. So the player who goes first doesn't get to draw. Which is whatever. But here's the one thing that that does kind of piss me off and rather upset me. They're implementing a new ruling into that. The player who goes first cannot use any draw cards at all whatsoever. So you can't activate things like Trade-In, Upstart Goblin, or Solar Recharge. I don't like that at all, and I kind of feel like it's going to ruin the game a little bit. This whole double field spell thing, I'm okay with that. I don't care about that. I'm fine with that. But this no draw rule pretty much just alleviates all those decks that require going first. It just eliminates them entirely, just gone. Also, you're not going to be allowed to play cards that allow you to search cards from your deck to your hand. So things like Fire Formation Tenki, you won't be able to use. You won't be able to play a gadget to search. And you know me, I'm a big fan of my Machina gadgets, and if I'm not allowed to search out my monsters, like if I'm not allowed to search out Machina Fortress on my turn 1 and go into Kage Tokage and search out Kage Tokage on my first turn, what am I going to do? Like, what kind of plays am I going to have? There's a lot of decks that rely on this going first function, and if going first hurts us that negatively, then that sucks. That really sucks. And another thing is that it just gives decks that like to go second, Dark Worlds, Dragon Ruler Heretics, like Mermails, a lot of decks like to go second, and with this new draw ruling instated, that's going to completely ruin it. That's going to ruin it and kill it completely. They're ruining the game, slowly but surely. So what can we do to prevent that? Nothing. Basically, what it all comes down to is everyone who's playing those decks that they like to draw, you're not going to be able to draw anymore. So you're going to have to buy a different deck in real life if you want to continue playing in tournaments, because not being able to draw turn 1 or not being able to search turn 1 will alleviate like half the meta. So we're not going to be able to play as much decks. The meta is going to get more OTK oriented and more second turn based oriented decks, because that's the only thing that's going to allow us to go positive is to play those decks. So it really gives those decks advantages and gives the decks that don't work that way a huge sorry, I'm really tired, but a huge disadvantage. What can we do to prevent this? There's not really anything we can do. I mean, also they're going to be instating new rules for the battle phase. Each phase they're going to be introducing new rules. The whole new pendulum summon thing, I guess they're going to be restricting the extra deck even more, or something like that, like restricting it down to, I think, 5 or 10 cards. Like, I heard all kinds of things, and I gotta say, I don't like it. But I really don't, because I mean, there's a lot of decks that rely on it, like going first, for example. Constellars like going first. Fire Fist likes going first. Decks that are coming out now that don't care if they go first or second is something like Artifacts. They don't care whether they go first or second. And so with them, it doesn't really matter. But there's a lot of decks that like going first, like Assault modes really like going first, and the no draw rule, turn 1 or no searching rule just completely kills Assault modes, because we often like to do that. But decks like Dragunity Heretics, are going to be able to go off and go in. Decks like Hero Beat, I mean, still viable because even though Stratos is gone, but less viable. And with that new draw ruling and search ruling, even more or less viable. And then they're probably never going to see play again if that becomes the new ruling. Evil Swarms, for example, love to get their first turn searches off, love to get, their first turn plays off, and, without being able to get some of their plays off, not being able to search for the pandemic, and, your opponent drops Dark Hole, you just suddenly go negative, and then you kind of just lose the game and can't really recover from that. Galaxies, for example, we like to search out a lot. We like to trade things in a lot. And, I mean, we basically like to go first and go into a first turn Fellground Dragon if we can. And, I mean, or a number 62 if we can. But with that new ruling instated, it makes it harder to play Galaxies. There's just a lot of decks that are going to be hurt by this, and it really concerns me. So leave your comments down in the description below, and tell me what you think about this idea that they're doing with the whole draw thing. So far, I'm not liking it. I'm not happy with it at all. And frankly, I think honestly that it's going to ruin the game as is. And I'd like to say that those things aren't going to happen. But let's face it. Right now, they've already restricted it to where you can't draw if you're a turn player. They're adding pendulum summoning, which I think is honestly a very terrible idea. And I think honestly, I think they're trying to throw in a lot of things into the game. It's just going to kind of eventually dissolve the game as what it is now and dissolve it to something less desirable. For example, I mean, that's why I made that. That's why I'm making other videos now instead of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, is because I think Yu-Gi-Oh is finally coming to an end, and I'm finally foreseeing its downfall here with these new rules that Konami wants to instate. I'm finally seeing Yu-Gi-Oh finally dying out. Honestly, it's just my opinion. But leave your comments down below to tell me what you think about this, and like and subscribe to the channel. I know I'm starting to do gaming stuff, but I've always been a gamer. But I'll see you guys later, and peace out.